All right. I think Michael will be here, but Wyatt, in the meantime, if you could just take any notes. I think he'll watch the video too, but
Okay.
I'm going to call the meeting to order at 9:31. And I'm Nancy Vandal, Chair. Would the rest of you like to introduce yourselves? And I have no conflicts.
Tom Sipe, editor. I have no conflicts.
Bill Miller, member, subcommittee member. I have no conflicts.
Susan Schomburg, member. I have no conflicts.
Wyatt Angelo, member, no conflicts.
Okay, thank you guys. I'm just going to get to the agenda here and just briefly go over it. If I can find it. Our naming standard does make it a little harder to see things like agendas. There it is. Agenda is the first word, second word. Okay. Can everybody see that? The agenda?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm hoping we could actually be done by 11 today. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve. Did people have a chance to review them after I sent my email yesterday? Because there are a number of changes that were made. Okay.
I'm okay with them.
Okay. Does anyone have any comments or corrections to the minutes?
No, I sent a note saying they were fine.
Okay, thank you. So hearing none, the minutes for the March 29th and April 5th meetings are approved as presented yesterday. Thank you. Okay, and then we'll have my report, and I'm not sure. I'm hoping Sarah's going to be there, but I've kind of put her down there as a placeholder just in case. I do have some questions for her on some of this business we have coming up, and then talk about just briefly about the April membership meeting, a review of Wyatt's bylaws cover letter, and Tom has some suggestions today, so we'll put that version up. It's in the meeting file if you want to look at it. He put it in there this morning. And then about bylaws document review of the latest version. And then if we have any guests here, we can have some comment before we do a vote, but I'd like to have a vote to refer to the Tillamook County Council. And then we can talk about policies and procedures and meeting actions, any public comment, et cetera. So does that sound okay? And then the calendar, I think everybody's familiar with. I think I got all the dates right. So I think that's it. So.
And do we have any guests today?
Not yet. So I'm going to stop sharing. We will see, but no, and I'm not sure where Michael is. I think he was going to be here. So in terms of my report, I just wanted to urge you, if you haven't already, if you plan to apply for next year, to go ahead and send something out to the info@email. Wyatt CC'd me on his, so I think it could be pretty brief. You can just resubmit what you did last year, which I think was longer, or Wyatt had a fairly short one saying he wants to continue on. So I think that was fine too.
I
So
couldn't find my old one.
Oh, okay. It's in the meeting minutes from the
okay.
from the June election meeting. They had everything included in there. So or I can send it to you if you want. I think I downloaded all of those. But we've done a lot since, so it's kind of updated now. And I think we'll have quite a bit more as we go along. But you know, I think I'm just going to go on into the April membership meeting summary. I think that went quite well, and we didn't get anything significant in terms of any negative feedback. I think we had a couple of questions that came up. That one was about the quorum and concern that it might be too high, and I think we addressed that. And Susan, I thought your comment was really helpful addressing that with talking about the outreach committee outreach task force going out and recruiting more members, and hopefully we'll have plenty. But you know, we definitely, after looking at the membership or the attendees in the last meetings, I think we over the last, gosh, since we went to Zoom, it's been well over 15. So I think we're okay with that. I can't remember now if there was anything else. Oh, Guy Siebert had a concern about County Council approving, and we had some back and forth about that. He's very satisfied with what we have in the bylaws and the outcome of that. So one of the things that came out of some interactions between him and Sarah, and he included me, is the insurance issue. And I think that's something to add to the policies and procedures document, actually, Tom, as I'm thinking about it now. That one of the benefits of having us organized through the county is that we're covered by their insurance. But we are not covered if we're handling things that are matters of the county and that we're obeying the rules. So we're not covered. So if we're doing something that's outside of the auspices of the county, which we can do as part of Article 2, we need to look into whether we would need to get our own insurance as an NCAC, as a nonprofit kind of a thing. So that's something to explore, possibly when we get into, but Guy and Sarah kind of agreed in their emails that we should talk with leadership, and I'll bring this up at our executive board meeting, but of having Sarah come in and actually talk about this a little bit on what constitutes county business versus not, and when the county's insurance covers this and when they don't. So that's kind of an action item that also came out of that meeting on Saturday. But otherwise, I think we got through it in pretty good time, and I wasn't hearing any objections. I think if we called for a vote at the time, if we'd noticed a vote and we could have done it, I think it would have just gone through. But no, that wasn't the plan. So I don't know. Does anyone else have any comments of those of you who are Tom and Susan? Oh, Bill?
I just have a question on the insurance. What sort of insurance are you talking about? Is this directors and officers insurance or liability insurance or?
Yeah, it's directors and officers insurance, and really, I think if it would also include us, the committee members, if we're doing something on official business and that kind of thing. Yes,
That would be a good question for Sarah.
Yeah, but my understanding is it includes us and our activities. You know, now if we go off and we pass bylaws that County Council doesn't approve, then that would not be covered. That would be an example of something not covered, and if the organization went off and did something as a result of our bylaws that were passed by the membership that weren't approved, then, blah, blah, blah. But
you might ask if we're responding to something the state is proposing,
right.
Would that be county business?
Yes, I believe so. Well, actually, that's a good question, Bill. And I think that would be a good question to ask Sarah when she.
Yeah, that was touched on
comes.
and sort of in an oblique way, that if there were something that was marginal, running it through the county, getting their acquiescence would be a way of making sure that we're covered. So anything that goes to an outside agency that we think might be covered by county interests, we should run past them. But we'll have to put that in some document somewhere.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, Bill, because we do in the Nesquin Village have the federal marshlands that are part of the NCAC area.
Yeah.
Welcome, Michael. You're muted.
I'm sorry to be late. I have 3 meetings in a row, so I'm kind of rushed. But okay. I have no conflicts of interest.
Thank you. Good to hear that. All right, moving on. So we were just talking about the outcome of the general membership meeting, Michael. So anyway, there'll be some follow-up with that, and those are really good questions, Bill. And I think a section in policies and procedures on this is going to be helpful once we get more information from counties. So I know that Tom is making a note. Actually, what I've been doing when we get to policies and procedures, but I've been going through videos of meetings for looking at minutes and that kind of thing, and noting as I go through. Whenever we talk about policies and procedures, I was making some notes, which I just sent to Tom this morning. I think we're very briefly done. Okay. So anyway, I think things went as well as possible. I didn't see any real comments. So review of the bylaws cover letter. So as you know, today's meeting is going to be mainly about preparing to send our document to the county council for approval. I sent Sarah an email yesterday saying that one of the things we wanted to talk about today, if she's able to make it, is how do we address the cover letter? Who do we send it to? Do we address it to county council? Do we address it to her? Do we address it to a variety of people? How should that be done? And so we'll get that information back before we actually send the letter. But is there some kind of a format they want to see? Can we send it via email, or do we have to send it in, printed off? And then talk with her also about what, because Tom has done a redlined version that is like, as he had predicted, it's just almost all red. It's fairly useless. So, but if they want to see that, we can send that. And then we have two different versions of the change listings. One's more comprehensive and one's a brief list, like the one that we used for the general meeting. And then we have, of course, the bylaws drafts, the draft themselves, and we'll be talking about that shortly. But Wyatt on his own came up with this cover letter. That did you guys have a chance to read his draft cover letter? It's in the meeting file. I'd sent it out a few days ago. Anyway, it's Tom. I had taken a look at it and made just a few minor edits. Tom looked at it and put a copy in the meeting folder this morning. And by the way, Michael, your minutes were both approved. Thank you very much for your work on that.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm just going to go ahead and go to that. Why don't you talk about what caused you to write this? And I'm going to put it on the screen while you're talking.
It started off based upon Sarah's expressed concerns about the county attorney approving the bylaws with the limitations on membership that we had wrestled with for many sessions. And it struck me that one of the things that we would hope to do, obviously, is persuade the county attorney to approve those. But it seemed to me that one way to do that was to create, I originally started off with the idea of a preamble to our draft, but really kind of adopted the idea of a letter of submission. It can take any number of forms, even as a forward to the bylaws, as they would in a book. But in order to not only convince the county attorney of the legitimacy and logic of our position, but it struck me as I thought about it more after I originally submitted it to Tom for his thoughts, was that this is also kind of a roadmap for the membership in considering whether to vote yay or nay to approve the new bylaws as submitted to them. And so it has a multi-purpose intent here now. And the idea, of course, is to convince people, number one, and number two, create the roadmap for people to understand how we got to where we got without just the bare terms of the bylaws, and to hopefully eliminate some of the discussions that we've already had during the course of the debate on whether to approve or not. So that's where it came from.
Okay, well, thank you for doing it, Wyatt. Yeah, I think you did a great job, and so it's obviously a living document at the moment, and I think I'll look at it a little more closely as well after we're done, but basically, can everybody see it okay?
Yep.
So what Wyatt did
Helped
was go
a lot
into when I expanded it.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and it's in the meeting folder where the other documents are. So you're welcome to get it. So we'll continue working on this, but basically he's going through an introduction, and then what we did, talking about transparency in terms of all of how clear we were, open to various members and that kind of thing. And then going into inclusivity, talking about how the boundary was set, and a lot of the Article 3 kinds of things regarding membership. And then talking about the emphasis in that of having the body of the membership in the decision-making capacity more than in the previous bylaws, as opposed to having the officers making decisions. So, and then the overall structure being redone to Robert's Rules of Order. And then I really like the last paragraph. In fact, I just took it and put it into our presentation for our meeting, at the general meeting. I thought that was really nice, because we really do appreciate all the participation of the members, and particularly our regulars. So that's kind of what it is. And I think in turning it into a cover letter, we would be putting in whatever the appropriate addressee would be, and signing it as the committee as we send it in. So I think anyway, if you guys could please take a look at it and see if you have any other thoughts. My goal is to get the whole packet sent out tomorrow, if we can. I've promised Sarah to have it by the end of the day, Sunday, but just so that the county council has the 2 weeks to be able to, or almost 2 weeks to be able to look at it and get back to us for our next meeting in 2 weeks. So anyway, but beautifully done, Wyatt. Thank you. I think it's really nice.
I'm not sure that we shouldn't just leave it as a statement of the subcommittee. I think it's really appropriate. That's a good title. We needed a date. We needed a date, and then I just tweaked a few things. So it's really very good.
Yeah, and that's coming from our editor, Wyatt.
Yeah, I'm going to take that and tell my wife about it.
Yeah, no, so anyone else, if you could look at it and get back to us, later today, that would be really great. If you have any other, I think I may change this first part about the review and update. It's a complete rewrite, so I may change that a little bit.
Not complete. There were many words which were unchanged.
Okay. But as far as Robert's Rules is concerned, they have a term for it that I will look up in Robert's Rules. They have a term for this. But anyway,
I tweak on the first sentence. If you keep and update, I think needs to be were, because it's the review and update. We're done.
Yes.
Rather than what's done.
Missed that.
Yes, very good. Thank you,
of course,
Susan.
Of course you got that.
We have some great editors on this committee. I know Bill certainly has a bunch too. Yeah, anyway, so please take a look at this, because I think it's really important to say, are there any objections to keeping this as a statement from the committee that would be attached to the beginning of the bylaws, or included with them, not attached to them?
No objection.
And then we have a separate cover letter that just says, choose whom it may concern. We'll have some names, hopefully, we're giving these to you for your review.
Yeah, that way it does a double duty with the membership, and because it's not a letter.
Right, that's true. Very good point. Because Wyatt's intent, and which I like, is that this would also go out to the membership when we submit the bylaws to the membership. Yeah. So it would be both. And I really like that it shows our thought process, and captures it all very, very readable too, not so lawyerly. I mean, I'm
dipped
saying
into lawyerly a little bit, which
I'm saying kind of becoming Tom for a minute on that one.
Personally, I really, really do appreciate the effort, and I like the document. I particularly like that you opened with the concepts of transparency and inclusivity. Those are big deals, and they will move strongly to reduce any concern that the membership has. It's very, very well done.
Yes, thank you, Michael. Okay, so I don't hear any I hear a consensus that we can use this as our statement, and I assume people will be okay with any minor tweaks to that, correct? So to be a
Minor.
little more coherent,
Yeah.
if there are no objections, we will use this statement with some degree of minor edits going forward with our bylaws. Okay. Thank you. All right. So I'm
Great
going
job, Wyatt. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
This is probably better than some of your briefs, Wyatt.
Thanks, Bill.
You saved your best for last.
For last.
Right.
Well, after 38 years of practice, you'd hope I'd get that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop sharing now and let Tom share on the bylaws. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about a transition statement that we talked about briefly in the last meeting. So I've done some research, but I hadn't actually had some things come up this morning where I couldn't actually write this up to show you. But basically what Robert's Rule says in section 57, 15 and 16 on pages on page 565 is that typically the bylaws, when they're approved, take effect immediately.
Yeah.
But there are going to be certain things that may not. And the only things I could think about, and we'll keep this in mind as Tom takes us through the latest bylaws draft, but is the officer election we're changing it to April, and it's in the current bylaws, it's June. So they couldn't hold an officer election this April because the bylaws hadn't been changed. So that'll be a transition thing to note. And then the other thing is if we have any successful amendments at the bylaws adoption meeting on May 11th, we cannot have those go into effect immediately without taking them back through County Counsel. So what I am proposing is to use the language. What they say is if the mechanics of transition to operation under a revised set of bylaws will be complicated in ways for which the act of adoption must provide temporarily, such provisions can be numbered and attached to the revision draft on a separate sheet headed, quote, provisos relating to transition, unquote. The motion to adopt the revision can then be made in this form. I move the adoption of the revised bylaws with the provisos attached here too. So in that provisos, it would be officer election date for this transition year will be the June annual meeting. We can't even put a date in right now because it hasn't been set. They're probably going to change it. And then any successful amendments made to the adoption of the bylaws will be on hold pending attorney approval. So does that sound fair? And then as we go through, if you can think of anything else that should be included in that list of provisos. So it's a little formal, but I think it works. So I
hate transitions.
Yeah, well, we're kind of stuck with them, but I think
the membership votes on them, or
I'm sorry, what, Bill?
Bill's frozen.
Somebody, Bill froze. Bill, you froze. Not sure.
proviso is something that the membership votes on, or does that just get added by us after the vote?
It gets added to the motion to approve, to adopt. So it's included in the adoption.
But it's not included in the final document. It's just a standalone document.
It's included in the motion to adopt the bylaws according to what I read here, but it is not the final document. It's just, as Tom says, it's a cover sheet to the document. And we can sort of hear you, Bill, but you're kind of going in and out. It's probably your internet wherever you're located.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just got a little flash on the screen saying something about low internet.
Yeah, probably not.
So if you don't hear me or I don't respond, low internet bandwidth. There's nothing I can do about that.
No, you can't. Worst case is if you just absolutely are not functional, you can go in by phone.
Yeah, or actually before then, if you turn off video, that will reduce the bandwidth quite a little bit.
That's a good point.
Going up is worse than going down. So if you turned off your camera, then you could probably maintain a link better.
And then
but so far, So far, so good. We're seeing you fine. Yeah, right now.
All right, I want to see
You're not
you
frozen
though.
at the moment. What?
Okay. I want to be
You're not
sure to see you guys.
We
Right. If
will.
you turn off your camera, you can still see us. We just won't see you.
All right.
But for now, we're liking to see you. So, it's
Okay.
okay. So does that sound okay in terms of the wording for just following Robert's rules? It's a little formal, but it gets the job done. So,
Yeah.
I think that's fine. I've been fritzing about how to deal with motions that are that are of importance relative to motions that are simply wordsmithing or whatever.
mhm.
And I think that's a good way to handle it. And I'm fearful of having to break things out. I'd like to see us vote on the entire document.
Right.
And this is a good way to keep it together.
And we will
So-
vote on the entire document. We'll talk about this more at our next meeting about the process, but Robert's Rules does delineate how you vote on a wholesale adoption of completely rewritten bylaws. And I guess I shouldn't use the word, they have a term for it. But, you make the motion to adopt the bylaws as presented, and then you go through article by article and present each article. But you don't take a vote on each article. It just gives people an opportunity to amend the article if they wish. And then that becomes the new article, anything that's successful. Hopefully, we won't have that because we've had so much going on, but you never know. There could be someone who makes a motion to amend. And at that point, if it's something that County Council will not approve, Sarah will be there and will state that. But so hopefully it wouldn't get adopted, but it could. So in that unlikely event, we have a fail safe here where, and then at the very end, after we go through all the articles, then, and hopefully it'll be just fairly brief. We go through, we show them the differences, and then we have a vote on the motion as a whole. Hopefully not amended, but if anything's been amended, then we have a vote on the amendment as on the motion to adopt as amended or as presented. And that's that. So, Michael, you and I can go through that with Mark a little bit before.
Yeah. I think it's important for Mark to or the executive board to request that if there are any motions that are considered important or large, that they be submitted before the meeting. And
that's a good point.
Yeah, so that we at least have a very quick effort or opportunity to review them and to speak to them, of course, rather than to think about something on the floor. Yeah.
Yes, and we did ask for that in the membership meeting. We asked, in fact, this was Jeff's suggestion, which I thought was a good one, that we give people a deadline of Wednesday, the 17th, to get us any submissions of any changes. And I think that's what you all saw my note back to Roger. I think that's why Roger put in his email yesterday. I mean, that came in actually on Wednesday, so Tuesday. So we had the one. That's the only one I've heard of any suggestions for changes. So, okay, so that's the process going forward, and hopefully it'll be a quick meeting on the 11th. It will obviously take some time because we'll have to go through article by article. That's the process, but hopefully by then, we get a quorum, and right now the quorum's 8, so. That's all. 6 of us are there, and we've got Mark. I mean, hopefully we're not going to have a problem at the moment. So I think that's all I've got for this. So Tom, can you go through the final or the currently final bylaws?
We'll see.
Okay.
And
So this page will be gone when we submit.
Yeah. And just going through don't know whether just change the revenue.
And all these little arrows are going to be gone.
Yeah.
That you don't see and I do.
All right. Okay.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. I wish there was a better way to do that. It's got a switch, but it doesn't really work quite right. So very few changes. I figured we should specify what the email list is.
Yeah.
So I added that.
I mean, I think you guys all saw, there's been quite a few changes since our last actual bylaws committee meeting, but you've all had a chance to weigh in on those, so.
There was a sentence which I thought was a bit cumbersome, so I changed it into 2 cents. What people want to see, what the let's see. Oh, where is that? Yeah. No, I forgot where they were. Oh,
It's right there.
This paragraph right there.
Yeah,
So you can
it's
see
much
it
better.
Made 2 sentences out of that. I think I've said before, my record is taking 1 sentence and making 3 paragraphs.
Ah,
Okay.
Literally,
No,
I did
I
that.
think that's a new one. Okay.
thanks, Tom.
So Tom, I'm glad this is all you did. Glad I didn't write that badly.
Well, there was an engineer marveling about the intricacies of his invention, so we didn't need to have that much information in that way.
Oh, you mean you took the opposite way? You took 3 paragraphs and made it 1 sentence.
No. I took
you took 1 sentence and made it 3
made
paragraphs.
3
Okay.
paragraphs. There was 3 different independent thoughts in that sentence. Okay, so here's the major thing I did. Running through the document, I noticed that we had referred to informal meetings or informational meetings rather. We didn't define what they were, so I did. And then I also moved a sentence which referred to the informational meetings into that definition.
Oh, great.
Yeah, no, this is a really good catch. I wanted to hang on to this though. I want to.
Yeah, that's good.
So do we need the word all? This is why I hadn't gotten back to you right away, and then I ran out of time. I don't want to necessarily.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. Does that sound okay to
they may have, in other words, they may have some restrictions, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. That's a good catch.
But I think this is good. Susan, you and I worked on this one. Do you have any concerns about informational meetings being defined?
My one question would be, I mean, as far as the word informal before meetings, do we need informal?
Oh, informational. I think it was a typo. Thank you. I didn't catch that either. Or maybe you did mean informal, Tom.
I mean, but I was thinking.
Well, actually, we don't need to have that.
As far as just the spirit of the meeting, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, just change it to meetings.
Conducted with, calling a meeting to order, or would it just be more like a neighborhood meeting?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like a program, right? It's a program. So, I almost wonder, I think it was Jeff that had said, we need something that for meetings that we're not conducting business, we shouldn't have to have a quorum.
Were they kind of
but
like
that would be a
meetings?
program. What?
I'm sorry, were they kind of like 2 years ago, there were town hall meetings that were held?
Right.
Is that what we're thinking as far as?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
There is a little bit of a red flag on this regardless, that I somewhat expect the county council to raise, and that is that having meetings such as this gives us the opportunity to discuss and debate, even if it's informally. so that the people who actually come to this meeting will then come to the business meeting prepared in some respect that other people will not. Yeah, you know, I'm not arguing against it. I'm just raising the possibility that the council will say, well, wait a minute now. The three of us on this committee are not allowed to sit down together and discuss things, even though we're not going to be voting.
Yeah,
and we can't
well,
do that. We can't do that without minutes and so on and so forth. So you know, this is it's a little edgy.
Could we call it a session instead rather than a meeting? Would that get us out of the Oregon Public Meeting Law? I mean, as far as if we all showed up, say for instance.
See, I think
That's a
it's
difference
still,
without a distinction, Susan.
Okay.
I think that we are still, actually, Tom and I had a little discussion back and forth on this via email, that I think it is covered under Oregon Public Meeting Law. I think we still would have to, in fact, we may want to say that it's still covered under Oregon Public Meeting Law. We still have to communicate that these are existing because it does allow, you know, officers to meet or committees to meet. We still have to make them open. You can't have people meeting even for informational purposes
okay, can
as a
I
group.
steal some?
So,
What is it we're trying to do here, Nancy? Avoid sending a notice or avoid taking minutes or?
no, I think we still have to do notice.
I think it has to do with quorum. It has to do with quorum issues.
Right.
Well, then,
Well,
why
it's a
do we need
type,
to say anything? If we have a meeting and people show up and there's no quorum, we can still talk.
right.
There's no.
There's sometimes back, like what Susan was talking about a couple of years ago, they had a series of informational town halls that I think were run by the county. I don't know. And that was with the tsunami overlay project. And they were really helpful, but it was an opportunity to get together, and Sarah presented information and different speakers presented information, and members got to ask questions and that kind of thing, but there were no votes on anything. So that's kind of what I'm thinking there, that we're talking about here, but they still had to be noticed.
What's the benefit of making that some sort of a special type of meeting instead of just?
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. By putting it in there, we actually raise it as an issue.
The problem is that if we use the NCAC notification system to apprise people of the meeting, it becomes a meeting.
Yeah, that's right. And so this issue actually came up when we were discussing quorum. And we'd have less than 15 people. Could you still hold a meeting? And yes, of course you can, but you can't conduct any business. People want to sit around and have a cup of coffee and talk about things. That's their business to do so. But if we put it into the bylaws, it becomes a thing.
There was also, within the last 2 years, starting a review of the community plan that is currently also in the works. And they had town hall meetings over each section of the community plan. And there would be experts that would come in and talk, and it all went out through NCAC.
And really our bylaws feedback sessions in a way could be this, right? We didn't need quorum for our bylaws feedback sessions. They were meetings, they were noticed. We didn't take minutes, although we had video. So to me, the feedback sessions would be something like that. And now the community plan is having feedback sessions. So, by the way, that's what I meant to say under my chairperson's report is I hope you guys are considering attending the feedback sessions. I don't know if anyone else did. I did. Tom actually did a fabulous job facilitating the feedback session Wednesday night for the community plan. And will you be doing the future ones as well, Tom?
Apparently.
Okay.
I'm going to the in-person one tomorrow, so it'll be interesting with hybrid.
Well, and it was hybrid Wednesday night too. So most of the people were in there in person, and I think there were only maybe 5 or 6 of us that were there on Zoom. But it was interesting to watch, and the Zoom people could participate. So it was well done. I could see the value of being there in person and having a little more casual interaction and that kind of thing too. So I encourage you guys to sign up for those as if you're interested. But they're talking about the values of the community, so it's kind of important stuff right now. Okay, sorry, I got sidetracked.
Okay.
So I think
I
on this, the difference to me between a meeting not meeting quorum and this is something where it's set up deliberately to be information only, where there can be some casual discussion, like feedback sessions.
Are we better off just in putting in wording, which is changing the meetings designation to informational programs or sessions, whatever you want to call it, but just the words that are disclaimer, which shall not be considered meetings, period.
I'm not sure that isn't a difference without distinction too. So,
well, if you basically say that no binding votes are going to be taken and no quorum is required,
yeah,
then you're okay, I think.
Yeah, that's what we do.
And I do think we still need to say they are subject to OPBML.
Yes.
Because otherwise, we're saying other things are not required.
Right, but I think you can just designate it differently than meeting and say that these are not meetings under the current definitions, and then indicate what is required for those.
So what happens if you have one of these and there's a big discussion about some particular topic and somebody says, I move that we, jump through a hoop.
That's out of order.
Is a parliamentarian going to say it's out of order?
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely right. And that's, I think, the good thing about having it in the bylaws is it calls that out, that you cannot, any vote that would be taken under those circumstances would not be valid. Now, during our feedback sessions, we did the occasional poll, which we used as input for going forward, but they weren't binding votes. And I at first was thinking we should take out the word binding, but then no, I mean, because a poll might be considered a vote, and I figured, yes, Tom, that you had thought that already. So
you could take a straw poll, I mean, how do people feel about this? That
right,
kind of thing.
that's what we did. Yeah. So
but
maybe
some people may
instead of in
interpret a
that
straw poll as a vote, and
right. So how about we still keep the title informational meetings, but the first word we change to programs or discussions,
gatherings,
sessions.
Yeah, I think I like sessions.
Yeah, I do too.
Bull sessions.
Yeah.
Yes. Shall I spell that completely out?
I like sessions. I think that kind of conveys what we're talking about. Okay, that are held exclusively for informing the membership on topics of interest, do not have the restrictions of other member meetings.
Yeah, actually, removing the word all changed the meaning of that. And that's not a good thing.
Okay.
The reason that I had all in there was that there are some of them that are still apply. This says that they don't apply at all, and that's bad.
Yeah, I think you're right, Tom.
Okay, can you put it back in? I'm not quite getting it yet.
Or Al, or it could be Al.
Do not have, and then you're taking out the, right? Or it would be all of the, yes.
All went in the wrong place.
So are we defeating the whole idea of these being non-meetings by putting them in a section saying, here are the types of meetings we have?
Because now we're defining it not as a meeting.
Yeah, here are the types of meetings we have. This is a non-meeting. I mean, should it just be a separate, here are meetings, and then we also have in a separate section, we also have non-meetings.
How about if we remove the word meeting everywhere except there?
Unless we had a separate header that called special programming or something. I mean, to Bill's point,
Or we
we're
could even,
saying it's not a meeting.
okay, if we called it sessions, then do we modify the introduction? There are four types of membership gatherings or something like that.
What
Well-
I'm wondering is if we could put this in the policies and procedures.
Ooh, that's a great idea.
There you go.
Hmm.
Because it's not a
I'm not
meeting,
sure about that. It
only
seems
meeting
like,
law.
well, it does. Okay, so information sessions do conform to the open meetings law.
Right.
So do we have to specify the mechanics of something which is allowed by maybe not, maybe we just throw the whole thing away.
Because it's a regular membership meeting. Under quorum, we had added the thing that maybe we just stick the thing back under quorum and we take this paragraph and stick it under policies and procedures.
Okay, well, I
I
mean,
think
the
the
quorum is not,
safest way to do it is put it in policies and procedures
yeah, I think the whole thing just
Yeah.
goes there.
and go back to 3 types of meetings.
Okay, so that. And I think we shouldn't even refer to informational meetings.
Yes.
Mhm.
I agree.
Okay,
That
I'll add that.
That underscores my sense that when we put it into the bylaws, County Counsel is going to say, whoa, what's this?
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
added-
don't hold out the bait for the attorney to bite.
Yeah, there you go. Spoken like a true attorney. Yeah. You've been down that road before, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
But thank you,
Okay.
Tom, because I think this is a really good discussion process.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
Okay,
that is.
even if it didn't
Appreciate your
result in
effort.
anything. Okay, fair
well,
enough.
it did though. It did.
No,
And
I know what you mean. That's fine.
I think it was
No
good.
worries. I just didn't want to have something dangling out there that we've referred to that we didn't define. But
Right.
the object or the solution was eliminate the dangle.
Yeah.
Can
think
you
so.
go back to the lead in of that section there? Where it says we have 3 types of meetings,
Right there.
up just a little bit.
I think we're
Right there.
there. You need to catch up.
He got it.
Question
He
is-
got it corrected back, Bill.
Yeah.
I think sometimes your computer doesn't seem to track quite as quickly.
Hold on for just, oops.
What are you seeing, Bill?
I want to see that where it says regular, what a regular meeting is.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, it's
where we're at.
showing.
Okay,
Yeah, we don't even need the Roman numeral or the numeral 1 and membership meetings or that sentence afterwards. If we just put in membership meetings under section A, and we've described the 3 types.
Mhm.
Well, actually, we went through this at length at the last meeting, and there are, if you keep scrolling down, you'll see why we have section numbers.
we don't have a 1 without a 2.
Oh,
So we have regular, we have executive board, and we have subcommittee. Oh, wait, go back up.
Yeah. We have executive board,
Right.
regular meetings, executive board meetings, and subcommittee meetings.
so
And there's
are there not special meetings?
There are
Special
under-
meetings are a subdivision of the regular meetings, of membership meetings.
Right.
So it's a bit this is
yeah.
the most complex.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I got confused there.
Yeah,
I have a
I didn't want to
question.
go too many more pages, but technically we should probably have done a bulletized list under the 1 and bulletized it all, but I didn't want to go that many pages.
If we put something in policies and procedures like the informal sessions that we're suggesting, this is just a question. Do we need to reference it within the bylaws because we're defining it in policies and procedures?
No, I
It
don't think
doesn't,
so.
it doesn't contradict the bylaws,
Okay,
so we're okay.
okay.
Yeah, that's the that's a good point. That's the main criteria with policies and procedures. They don't all have to be delineated in the bylaws. They just can't conflict. They can add to, but they can't conflict. Bylaws take precedence over the PNP.
So anything
Okay.
more about meetings? Or shall I scroll down? Okay. Gets actually deleted twice.
Yeah.
There
It was
we-
moved. Yeah.
Okay, and I don't think there was a whole lot more. I think, actually, it's a pretty clean document.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did a PMP,
Mhm.
substitution there. Pardon me for scrolling.
No, I think this is good.
this
And are
is
we
a re-
looking to see if there's anything we need to transition as we go through this? I don't think so. I think
That was a
everything's,
redundant statement, so that's already
Yeah.
covered.
thank you for catching that.
And then I don't believe there were any other changes. So shall I go back and review the changes, or do you want to go by article and look at it? What do you want to do?
I think we're good. I'm not, can we go through one time real fast just to look at if there are any other transition issues so we can get a vote from the committee, but I wasn't seeing
Okay.
any as we went through before.
Okay, what do you want to,
Going backward is
Officers.
fine. Yeah, I'm not seeing, yeah, it's under the vote, under
meeting?
Article 4, elections, nominations and elections, but so I'll just take stuff out of that for that little clause. But otherwise, I don't see there's anything that we have to worry about transitioning. They've already started executive board meetings, so they just need to rename them executive board instead of executive committee. Okay,
So what I'm gonna do here is first, what I should have done at first was to do
yeah,
a
save
save
it.
as.
Number 15.
And what I'll do is and the changes then will be to where's the scroll bar?
Was that yellow highlighted thing, just because it was moved to the subcommittee section?
Which one? Oh, no, that it was already there. It was duplicated.
Yeah.
It kind of came out of, we had for a long time the separate articles and different presentations. And so when Tom put everything together, there were a few things, actually surprisingly few, where there would be duplicate statements. And a lot of them we had presented at the last meeting, but that one had popped out afterward. So he's presenting any changes since the last meeting.
I did my favorite trick of waiting a week between looking at it and looking at it again. Okay, so we're going to accept that.
Mhm.
And we're going to accept that.
And change the footer to last edited. I guess that'll change anyway.
Yeah.
Because it'll be the official draft.
And this actually should be,
15.
question here is, should we leave it as draft changes or?
No, I think it's proposed bylaws now, right?
Okay, I'll change that just in a moment.
Let's just be really optimistic here. I think we change it. I think we take out draft, right? Well, it's not official yet.
Proposed.
Yeah.
But if you
yeah, how
take
about
out
that?
draft and put proposed before
Right.
Nesco Citizen Advisory Committee bylaws in the first line.
In the first line?
Yeah, like eliminate the second line completely and before Nesco on the first line, put proposed like in italics or something. Or red or I don't know. I don't know the technicalities of.
How about we put proposed underneath?
Yeah,
Because
I'm fine with
otherwise,
that.
And we need to revision it somehow. So we're going to propose it on the 19th.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Let's center that. Come on. Oh,
I think the fact that there are no guests today kind of shows that people are getting used to, are
yeah,
comfortable.
beaten
Let's
them
hope,
into the
let's
ground.
hope.
Either that or we've
Yeah.
worn them out.
I think maybe.
Well, I take partial credit for that by having a 2-hour session.
By having what?
The community plan session.
Oh.
Lots of people showed up there.
Did
Yeah,
they? That's awesome.
yeah, it was. Looked like there were at least 40. Were there more than that, Tom?
No, I don't think there were more than that. Probably some 25 to 30, I think. But
In
Okay.
person.
in person,
Right,
actual
plus
walking
the
in the
6.
door
Yeah.
Where was that held?
in the golf course
Oh, yeah.
clubhouse.
Uh,
And we were not at capacity, but we'd had a lot more people. We'd had a little bit of an
Mhm.
issue.
how's the golf course look right now, by the way?
Awesome.
Floppy.
Is it
Not-
sloppy? Darn it.
It's not that swampy right now.
Yeah, not like other years.
Yeah, well, was Lake Nesquin a couple of weeks ago, but it's now down to a swamp, I guess.
Okay, let's
so
get this finished.
we don't need this
Correct.
footer anymore.
Yeah. This is kind of
Okay,
exciting.
It's, your footer still has April 17.
He just got rid of it, Bill.
Okay,
I think you have a leg.
yeah.
Okay. And we are at 11 pages, 10 pages. Okay, we only increased by 1 page.
Now, do you need to change the name of the file? Because I see it's the revision number is still reflected in the file name.
Yes. Okay, well, I guess we'll make a proposed bylaws.
Yeah. Yeah, good catch, Susan. So,
I'll capture this and then I'll save it again as
and you've
proposed
taken off,
bylaws.
you've taken off page 1, right?
Yes, page 1 is gone.
Good. Excellent. Hey, hallelujah.
Yay.
So, could we have a motion to refer the proposed bylaws as well as the Wyatt's cover letter, let me just say, and the cover letter and a transition statement to County Council?
I would so move.
A
I
second.
would second.
Okay, any discussion on the motion to refer the bylaws with the accompanying documentation to County Council? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. Hey. If we were in person, we could have a pop a cork or something, but since it's just you all here, our lunch is scheduled for the 21st. Would 11:30 work?
Mhm.
This is May
Mhm.
21st. Okay,
Tuesday.
that's a Tuesday, yeah.
Good. Yeah. That
Bill,
worked.
you were the only one I don't know if you were going to be able to make it or not, but
I thought I had sent a note saying that I might be in Nesquin that week. And if I am, I will be there.
okay, I must have missed it. Thank you. Good. So
But,
hopefully, I think
I'm
it'll be
coming
fun to
back.
get together purely socially.
Yeah. And what time did you say? 11:30?
I'm thinking 11:30. Is that too
Yeah.
early for
No,
people? I was
no,
thinking we
that's-
could get a
no.
good table that way in
What
case
is
it's
what is
crowded.
too early in Nesquin for Pete's sake?
So it will be outside, so dress warmly. But they do have heaters at the Hot Creek Cafe, but I have to eat outside, so.
Thank you for doing that, by the way. That's nice.
Well, I just think it'll be really nice. We've gone through a lot together over the last months, and 5 of us at least will be continuing on next year, but I hope that we will be reelected, but, you know, we haven't had a lot of opportunity to just socialize, so I think that'll be nice. And of course, no business will be allowed, but
No
it's
business is
a,
necessary.
but it's a good point. It's a good time after hopefully they will have been elected. I mean, approved, and so great.
Okay, so it's going to be called NCAC Proposed Bylaws, April 19, 2024.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll also post Rev 15 just for sake of completeness.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you all. This is, I mean, it just feels like a monumental moment. So
Yeah.
I think we deserve a brief moment of enjoyment here.
Thanks
And
for leading us.
well,
Yes,
it's
really
been
do.
a true group process. And now we are going to move on to our next phase here of policies and procedures, discussion and action plans. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was, as we said in the last couple of meetings, is how much effort do we want to take in the next couple of months? So Tom had put forth his preliminary policies and procedures list, and I sent him this morning one just from the last couple of meetings that I had gleaned, but I haven't frankly had time to go through and come up with anything detailed at all. And I guess you know, we could go ahead and use these last meetings, because I think hopefully the next one's going to be mainly talking about anything that we get back from county. I'm hoping that's going to go smoothly because Sarah's been working alongside the council the entire time. But I think we'll be talking about how we present the bylaws at the meeting on May 11th, and then that'll be mainly it. So we could tackle certain policies and procedures things, but I kind of was thinking a way to tackle it might be to divide again into different topics. So how about if we plan on spending a good deal of the next meeting on, if you guys can kind of brainstorm, go through the bylaws and send Tom your list of ideas for the policies and procedures document. We could at least talk about that list at the next meeting. And then we can talk about, we'll have another couple of meetings before the end of the year. I would like to propose that we take a break for the months of July and August, but I would be amenable to continue operating if you choose to do that. But having a summer break might be kind of a nice thing. So what do y'all think in terms of timing for policies and procedures?
Summer break for me would be very much welcome because I won't have a summer break.
I'm in favor
Okay.
of a summer break as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Michael and Wyatt, do you have?
Yeah,
any
I think
thoughts?
that's fine. If we certainly can be in individual touch with each other.
Right.
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you really ought to push through. I was going to suggest weekly meetings.
You're such a workhorse, Bill.
Okay, so let's
Well,
do it before Bill steps down. Let's
right, I
step
think
up the
so.
meetings. What on every other
I think we
day?
need to have daily meetings as long as you're on the team, Bill. I have to say, Bill has particularly just really hates meetings. My husband is the same way, and so I kudos to you, Bill, for hanging in there as we've had all these meetings. So,
Well, you've made them enjoyable, all of you.
well, okay, so I'm hearing a general consensus for taking off July and August, assuming we're reelected. But we can always adjust. Maybe we'll feel all ready to go again in the future. And Tom is going to be busy with the community plan documents. So, okay. So I guess action items coming up is to send Tom your input on policies and procedures. And then what we can do maybe in the next meeting is talk about how we want to divide some of those up. But until we have the election in June, when we don't know exactly who will be on the committee, we don't want to do too much probably. But there may be some more urgent things that we could prepare for a presentation for the June meeting.
Can I suggest that we also submit a specific invitation to Jeff to
Yes.
suggest any, with a copy of the proposed bylaws, to suggest any things he thinks we need in policies and procedures. He's the guy that we're really going to write these for, I think.
I think that's a really good point, particularly for the communications task force. I think that would be, because, you know, that's one of the things that we kind of, Tom and I, when we were looking at subcommittees and task forces, we looked at all that detail on what's in the communications task force, and we kind of went, let's leave it alone for now. We could always come back and do a bylaws amendment later to send some of that to policies and procedures, do more of a flesh out with Jeff, and then, so I think that makes sense. I think that's something that, and that might be some minor bylaw tweak to simplify that. We just didn't want to tackle it this time, so good idea. I think Jeff would be happy to work on that with us too.
Yeah.
Okay, any other thoughts on policies and procedures? Okay, and I will plan to go through in more detail as well and come up with a list, but I think it'll be what we'll spend most of our time on next year. Okay, so in terms of action items, it looks like we will we have the bylaws document. Please look at Wyatt's memo with Tom's corrections. And
Edits.
edits, thank you, edits. And get, why don't you just send me any further edits that you might have, because I want to try to get this thing knocked out today if I can, or at least tomorrow. I will send out a draft of the transition document this afternoon, so you can take a look at what that would look like as a cover, and I will also draft a cover memo after talking to Sarah. I need to get to Sarah and find out who we send it to, and any format that they want to see as well. So when I have all that, I'll send that out and ask you guys for any comments.
Could you
and then
send something that has a separate link to Wyatt's letter?
Yes.
I sent one out this morning. It's got a,
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Thank you, Tom. So it's in your email.
Okay.
And then the link I sent yesterday and the day before goes into the meeting folder where all this is residing, but all these documents are on there. So the bylaws draft, though, if you want to see that, Tom, why don't you send a link to the proposed bylaws folder to out to people? But yeah, I think we're good. Amazing, and we have no public comments, so I think we're done unless anyone has any other agenda items that they'd like to.
Did you want to say anything about
10:39.
Did you want to say anything about Roger's letter?
I could, sure. So did you guys, did everybody have a chance to see Roger's email? And it looked like when I replied to it that I was putting in these CCs. He had actually sent it to me, well, to the NCAC email account, the bylaws email account, and to info at, which it goes to Jeff. I don't know if Jeff forwards to the other officers or not. And then Sarah. And then a name I hadn't recognized, I had to look up, and it's County Counsel. It's a different County Counsel name than I had seen before. And he kind of went over what he's gone over many, many times in many, many ways and venues, and his frustration. But, you know, I just have to say, I kudos to him. For having these opinions and taking the time to bring them up. I wish there'd been some way that we could have come to a consensus on it. And I've tried talking with him one-on-one, but his two issues were around the membership area needing to be the same as the official community boundary. He would support having the official community boundary being expanded to what our NCAC boundary is, but he just has this concern about the two boundaries being different. And and that people who shouldn't be able to vote on or provide input on issues that are not in the official boundary. So Sarah has gone over this many, many times, saying she cannot change the community boundary. There's no way to do it. There are too many decisions that have been made over the past decades that it's been in existence to be able to change it. And I didn't put in the memo because I wasn't sure enough, but I do seem to recall her saying that if Nescoin became incorporated, then the community boundary could change. But that would be the only way it could be done. So that would be a completely separate issue. Regardless, it's beyond the scope of what we're doing. His other issue was around quorums, and he felt like the quorum of 15 for general meetings was too low. And of course, we've heard pushback from the other side of that too, like, are we going to be able to meet that quorum? So Hillary Gibson also shares both of these views. And so there may be others out there as well. And it's possible that we'll see actually a force come out on May 11th to put in those amendments for those two areas, but I'm hoping not.
So I have a
They're
comment
both.
on his thing about being undemocratic.
Mhm.
If you get Sarah to talk about how limited her powers are because of how the state has
Mhm.
limited the ability of the county to govern itself. I mean, that's an exact analogy. Now, if he
Right.
wants to do away with state government too, that's fine. But I mean, it's the way it happens. It flows. It goes from the small to larger to the larger. And that's a fact of life. And if you don't like it, well, that's a fact of life.
Right.
I'd also
So-
like to make a comment. I can see where his frustration is, and I acknowledge it, because if we look at the unincorporated community boundary, say that there are restrictions that are proposed, view ordinance, tree height, fence height, things that only apply to homes within that boundary. If I personally resided outside of the unincorporated boundary, I would recuse myself from voting on something pertaining to fence height, tree height, that did not impact me. I would just think that is the right thing to do, because it would not restrict. If I lived outside, it wouldn't impact my property. I'm hoping going forward that people outside the boundary, where it doesn't affect their property or their value or their taxes, that we would give them the opportunity to recuse from the vote.
Well, certainly, I agree with that. However, it may be that something that they do in Cannery Hill would affect Nesquin NCAC area. I mean, so we can go both ways.
Mhm.
It's a matter of personal judgment as to whether or not it impacts you. And I think leaving it at personal judgment, I think is the right way to do it.
Yeah, I don't, I think the issue of self-recusal is a good one, but it's a romantic one because that's not really the issue. The issue, I think, in their mind, if I can, if I can put myself in their mind, is if we get into a really contentious issue that doesn't affect people on the outside, but they want to stir the pot for some reason. I mean, it's that kind of scenario that becomes a problem, I think, in their mind.
The reason I ask you to discuss this, Nancy, is unlike you, I would be shocked if Roger doesn't submit an amendment. And so I think you or we want to be well prepared to respond to that. Not so much on the quorum thing, but on the boundary thing.
Mhm.
I would be reluctant to bring up the recusal because I think that opens a can of worms and maybe puts somebody on record of suggesting they would recuse themselves or anyone should. And that seems to me like a decision ought to be made at the time that comes up. Might depend on what the issue is. But I think it's likely, Roger. I can't imagine him having put in this much time, having gone to this many meetings, and then when it's, for the decision making, he's just going to walk away. I just don't see that in Roger.
Yeah.
Right.
How
And
realistic is it that we would ever have a quorum if we limited membership to the boundary area, the community boundary area? I mean, there are two conflicting, really, proposals here. So I'm not sure that I understand the logic behind either one.
yeah, yeah. And certainly when we had our feedback sessions, you know, we looked at this issue in the feedback sessions too. And we really, the membership in general was supportive of the area. I mean, strongly supportive of the area. So my concern would be if people felt like, okay, the bylaws are baked, I don't need to come and vote. And then we have a large contingent coming that is ready to vote on these amendments. That's why, you know, it would just have to go back. Hopefully this isn't going to happen, but I think the more people we can get attending the meeting on May 11th, the less chance that an amendment would be successful.
I
Or
think
amendments.
I think we have to count on it happening, just to be prepared. And Nancy, I'd like to have a one-on-one with you sometime in between, and let's just brainstorm potential scenarios.
Yeah, no, I think that would be a good idea, Michael, and I certainly have been thinking in my own mind about them, but you know, frankly, the best way would be to get people there and in general.
Yeah.
So to be able to vote one way or another. But you know, I mean, just with the way parliamentary procedures work, you know, as you know, Michael, we can't stop an amendment from coming.
No,
The hope would be that, you know, Sarah saying it won't be approved, so don't waste your time is going to cause people to maybe retract an amendment or vote no on an amendment, you know, just to be able to, because we already know that at least the area is not going to be allowed to be restricted.
but I think we
So-
need to I think we need to get together with Mark also
Yes.
and back him up, help him, give him some tools to use.
Right.
So that when this does happen,
Right.
He's prepared for it and he feels comfortable
Right.
doing it. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think the three of us could have a training session with,
Yeah. Okay.
with Mark. And, you know, the other amendment that could be happening would be one to change other part of Article 3, which is member definition. And so, you know, there's strong feelings on both sides on that one too, but hopefully not. I mean, you know, they didn't say anything in the meeting on the membership meeting, and the votes during the feedback sessions were overwhelmingly supportive. So,
Well, in private conversations, I've heard that they don't like it, but they can live with it.
right.
Is
Good.
that right? That's good. That's good. I'm glad. I mean, because that's the way it is with a lot of things.
Right. I think that's kind of what we've come down to on a lot of this is we've been able to discuss it enough. People feel like they've been heard and they can accept the compromise. So,
Yeah.
so good.
Everybody's equally
So,
unhappy.
yeah. So thank you for bringing that up, Bill. I think this has been a good discussion, and
Yeah.
it's rare that we have just the six of us, even though we are on video. So anyway, so yeah, any other thoughts you have on that? We can also pick it up a little bit. We'll maybe have heard more in the next 2 weeks as well. And you're not picking up anything in the community plan meetings regarding the bylaws, are you, Tom?
Nope.
Okay.
It seems there are some overlap, but there's mostly new faces to me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, any other things you'd like to discuss before we sign off? All right. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you,
It's
Nancy.
nice to
We
have
really
just the six
appreciate
of us.
Thanks all.
And thank you, Tom,
Thanks,
for all this
everybody.
work, and thanks to everybody. Meeting adjourned at 10:50. Hey. I'm gonna
You
stop
know.
sharing. Oh. I'm gonna stop video
good
if I can
day.
find it. There it is. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.